hellfire, Halstead, Halstead like a heathen, Halstead like a heathen, Halstead like a heathen.
So the process for making your rabbit's feet and tails is pretty easy. I just took a used pickle jar, cleaned it out, and dumped 91% isopropyl alcohol into it. You want at least like 71, 75. I prefer 90s just because we typically butcher our rabbits a little later, so they have bigger feet. They're very thickly furred, so I just want to make sure that I have the best possible preservation for these items. So yeah, you just fill the jar and then you start adding the feet to it. So now that my jar is full, and I've got like a few skunk paws in here too, and the tip of a skunk tail that I accidentally pulled off in the process of deboning it. We can see that it's coming up to the top, so you want to make sure that you get everything possible underneath the alcohol, or else it won't preserve. So I'm gonna add probably about half of a second bottle. And that's all under the alcohol. It's all set to go. And I'm gonna put a cover on this, and it's going to sit for about 48 hours. A lot of people will just do 24. That's fine. I've found 48 hours doesn't hurt anything. And again, like, we have much bigger back paws, and these rabbits are very well furred. So I'm going to leave them for 48, and we'll come back after that. Alright, so it's been several days. I've drained most of the alcohol out of my jar, and this bucket here is some hot water and some degreaser, in this case Dawn, and a little bit of bleach. I don't even measure it out, I just put a bunch in there. So I'm going to be rinsing it in this bucket to clean it up, and then I'm going to be rinsing it in the hot water, which is why I decided to do it in the shower, because it's just so much easier cleanup wise, and you don't want to contaminate food processing areas with severed animal parts. So I'll catch up to you guys once these are clean. Alright guys, so these have soaked in alcohol for almost 3 days, and they're washed, they're ready to be dried. The only thing I want to go over is, typically when we butcher rabbits, we cut the foot off above the ankle. What we want to do is cut this about here. Because we don't want this extra joint in our finished rabbit foot, because it'll make it hard to put a cap on it, and it'll also make it hard to dry. But you're looking for an end. Eventually we will clean up these ends too when they dry, but that's what you're looking for. And then we're gonna go set these out to dry. So we also use the smaller rabbit feet. You also probably want to joint these. It just makes it look neater when you go to cap them. And they're smaller, they're cute. They do make for just as good of a rabbit foot as the big ones. And again, it's another thing that doesn't go to waste. So tails are kind of a pain in the butt. If you don't debone them, which can be kind of hard to do, they will dry and they will become breakable. They can snap. So it depends on you if you want to put the effort in. I usually try to break the bone before the tail is dry and then just dry it this way. But if you're selling these, you kind of have to decide like how much work you want to put into it based on how much money you can make off of it. Or just try to tell people like, look, just hang this off of your rear view mirror or something. Like, don't put it on a keychain because it can break on you. But yeah, it's personal choice what you want to do as far as how much work and effort you want to put in for an item that's probably only going to get you maybe $6, $5-6. But either way, it's still worth it to try to use every aspect of the rabbit that you can. All right, I'm gonna film this last bit of video for right now. I've got all of my feet laid out, meat side to the very hot wood stove. And they're gonna sit here by the hot wood stove for a few days, and I'll check back in when they're done, and I'll show you guys what they look like when they're done. All right, guys, these have sat for about 2 days in front of the fire, and they are done. And the way we can tell that they are done is that the toes no longer move. They're stiff and they're hard. This means that they've been fully dried. And the next step is to fluff them and make them look nice, and then we put the caps on them. All right, so to fluff them up, I basically just have a regular little dog grooming brush from my past as a dog groomer. And you're just gonna take a foot or a tail or whatever it is and just brush it. And this is gonna get out all of the loose fur. It's gonna get out any of the remaining debris that might be in there, because all of these feet and tails will shed a lot of fur. And you just wanna make it look nice and fluffy and clean. So you also want to remember too, when you're doing tails, if you left the bone in, these are fragile. You can break the bone off. So again, if you're going to sell these, you might want to tell people that they're fragile and they should be hung, you know, not where they're going to get beat up. So they shouldn't be on a keychain. They should probably be kind of like hanging from the rear view, or, you know, hanging off your purse or something, not necessarily where they're going to be shoved in a pocket and broken. But I just don't feel like I make enough money off of them to sit around and debone them, but that's definitely up to whoever's making them. Ultimately, if you just cut them off the rabbit, and this goes for ears, feet, tails, whatever, and you don't do any processing to them, they make really good dog treats. And so these are all ready to be capped. I also wanted to point out too real quick that this process works really well for other small paws. This was from a skunk that we shot after it tore open one of our chickens, and we try to use everything. So yes, I did skin the skunk, and yeah, it was a little bit of a hassle, but yeah, we kept the paws. The fourth one's already gone to be capped. But yeah, this process works with basically any small fleshy item. As long as you prep it and dry it properly, it should be fine. All right, guys, so when your feet are dry and you're ready to go, you just gotta get some caps and put a little hot glue in there. You might need to trim along the outside edges, which is what all this is. But other than that, it's pretty simple. We will leave a link to the caps in the description so that you can get your own. And once those dry, you've got your rabbit's foot.